again back to the NSL. Today we're going to go over some safety protocols. 4 little golden rules that apply to this lab. That nothing ever goes back into a bottle, and what that means is if you have a bottle with a manufacturer's label on it, and you take something out of it, you never add that back to the bottle that you took it out of. Number 2 is always try to leave things a little cleaner than when you arrived. That's kind of like something I think everybody's learned since probably kindergarten class. So make sure you pick up after yourself, and if someone else left something behind, try to clean that up too, because that could be a safety hazard if stuff's left around. 3, always ask. You never just want to assume that you're doing something the right way or that you're taking something the right way. Always ask whenever you're not sure of doing something. 4, and probably one of the most important things, is don't ever touch anyone else's stuff. So that's borrowing glassware off a shelf, tweezers, anything like that. You contaminate other people's things, then they could run into problems with their process. The next thing I want to get into is in case of emergency, you need a contact. So ideally what you could do is dial 100 from any MIT telephone, which will bring you right to the MIT police. Or if you have a cell phone with you, and you can dial 617-253-1212, which will also bring you right to the MIT police. They designed this building way back when. They decided to use these buttons as overrides for the solenoids that actually lock the feed-through doors. If someone has a feed-through open from the door from the inside, this red light will light up. This overrides it so you can open this door. Why is it like that? So we can't take bottles and add them in this side and push them. The other door will open up and they'll break on the floor. Okay, next you'll notice that there's fire extinguishers located everywhere around MIT. The reason we have these is not for you to fight a fire with in case of a fire. These are for the fire department to use. These can actually make fires worse if you're not trained on how to use them properly. So if there is a fire, it's your duty to get out of the building as quick as possible. One thing about these cabinets I'd like you to know, it's fairly important, is they're labeled to what goes inside. Acids, bases, the ones over there are solvents and acids. My safety concern with this is if you break something in one of these cabinets, please let me know what it is so I know what it is I'm cleaning up. It makes my life or Matt's life a lot easier to clean up these spills when we know exactly what the chemical is, rather than we have to treat it as the most dangerous chemical that's inside the feed-through. What I'm going to go over now is actually working with some chemicals in one of these chemical hoods. These hoods are a little bit special because they have laminar flow, filters inside. The air is flowing down and they exhaust through the back and the front here. If you're using one of these, what we like to do in this lab, and this isn't all the labs at MIT, but this lab, is we grab, these are clean room wipes. They're very low in particulates. That's why it's a clean room wipe, but we put one of these down. What you don't want to do is cover your exhaust with it. So you want to move it back that you can safely work. So if I was going to use acetone in a beaker in this, what I would do is write acetone with my name, the date, and the time. Then I would grab my beaker of acetone, I would place it down, and put my acetone with it. This does a couple things. It lets other people that are coming into the lab know what you're working with, and in case you have to leave in an emergency and that's left behind for some reason, it's labeled. You don't want to use chemical abbreviations for this. You want to write out the full chemical name. That's super important as well. Over here, we have another type of hood. This is just laminar flow air. There is no exhaust to this. What this hood does is it pushes air out the back towards the front, and then it draws it in down here, creating a false curtain right here. We use this hood for prepping samples before we look at them in the SEM. As a safety concern, you never want to put chemicals in this hood. It has no chemical protection at all from fumes or anything like that. So chemicals are a no-no in here. Probably one of the biggest safety tools in the lab is right here. We have a safety shower and eye wash combination. I give this example to pretty much everybody that walks through the lab. Hopefully I never have to see anyone use these, but if they do, it's probably because they got exposed to chemicals from somebody else that's using them. What I mean by that is if you're using the chemicals, you'll have a nice apron on, you'll have chemical sleeves, the right chemical gloves, face shield. You spill something on you, it's going to go on the apron, and 999 out of 1,000 times you won't get exposed to the chemical. It'll be on your protective equipment. But if someone comes walking in next to me while I'm in the hood and I have the equipment on, and they startle me or surprise me in some way, and I turn and knock the beaker of chemicals on them, they're exposed to the stuff. It's all over them. Now, especially if you're wearing jeans, jeans love, if you spilled coffee or water on them at any time, it just spreads and soaks right into them right away. So it's super important if you get exposed to something like that, you get over here, you need to take your clothes off, pull down the shower handle, and stand here and rinse yourself for about 15 minutes. What that's doing is two things. Number one, and most importantly, it's removing the chemicals from the exposed area that you got. And number two, it's also decontaminating you. So if you need to go in an ambulance to the hospital, you've already had the chemicals washed off you, and they'll take you right in, and it'll expedite your trip right to the hospital. So that's, in a chemical exposure, super important. With an eye washer, same idea. You wouldn't have your safety glasses on, you hold your eye open, hold the trigger, and rinse the water into your eyes. Again, for most chemicals, that's 15 minutes. There's a couple exceptions. One's HF is 5. Don't worry about where the water's going. There's a floor drain. It'll all wash down there. And that's the basic use of an eye wash and a safety shower in the NSL. One of the more important things in the lab safety-wise that I'd like to point out is this right here. This is your emergency electrical off button. What this does is kills all the power to the lab. Someone was working on a piece of equipment, which usually they're locked out, tagged out, but sometimes you have to work on stuff live to figure out what's wrong with it. They were getting electrocuted, or there was all spark shooting out of a piece of equipment, or just something electrically was going haywire in the lab. This button you press, that will shut down the power to the whole room in here. It only does this room. The clean room has the identical button, and that will shut down just that room as well. But I want to make it certainly, known that's of certain importance that this is only this room. Okay. So there's just a couple more things I'd like to point out before we end this today. One is this sign right here. In case of emergency, you dial 100 from any MIT phone, 617-253-1212 from your cell phone or an outside line. That's super emergency. That'll bring the fire department, EMT, stuff like that. Down here for minor emergencies, we have my name right here. You can call my cell phone. If you try to get through to me and you can't, you can work your way down this list of people listed up here. They'll be sure to, they'll help you out. And then we also have this after hours 3-1500, which is the MIT or the MTL emergency response team that'll bring you to a place that they'll walk you through whether you need to call 100 or not, and if you do, they'll call it for you while they're on the line. So if you're just not sure, well, is this really an emergency or not, you call the 1500. And they'll explain to you if, they need to call 100 or not. Next, we have these MIT Health and Safety. These are right to know booklets here. And lastly, I want to point out, we have the MSDSs. These are the paper versions. It'll take you twice as long to look through this if you need something than just do a simple Google search. And I recommend that to everybody. Do a Google search. If you can't find it there, something might be proprietary, you'll find it in here. If you can't find it there, then please let me know, and I'll make sure a copy of it is available for everyone in case we need it. That's basically the safety walkthrough today. I didn't get into some specifics that I would during the personal walkthrough with you, but I will be more than happy to do that when you enter the lab. Thanks.